Hi, my name is Karen Dennis Culler. I'm a clinical social worker and the psychosocial services director at the Masonic Cancer Alliance. This video is the 8th in our resilience practice series. Today, we'll be talking about ways to increase social support and our sense of connection to others. As a reminder, this program focuses on the 10 Facets of Resilience series developed by our partners at Turning Point. Today, we'll be up here in this blue puzzle piece in Turning Point's Resilience Wheel. So social support includes the support and encouragement that's shared between friends, family, coworkers, and peers during good and bad times. So I like to think about this as the circle of people in your life who are there for you when you have a flat tire and need a ride to work, or metaphorically have a flat tire, and also those people who can be there for you for emotional support. We know that there are a lot of benefits to having supportive relationships in our lives. So some of them include, it increases our sense of self-worth and self-esteem, promotes a sense of belonging and feelings of security, helps reduce loneliness and depression, helps people cope better with illness, and actually increases longevity. So some key points to remember about social support. So a couple of them we just covered, but we also know that it's really important that we have a diverse support system. So it needs to include different types of people with different strengths. So those flat tire folks and those emotional support folks both. But to have a strong support system, we also have to be a good supporter for others. This takes practice, and it also takes intention. We have to be able to say, I'm going to take the time that I need to be there for other people, or just keep those connections strong. So this involves looking for all of those small ways that you can stay connected to other people so that they're there for you and you can be there for them. And it also involves asking for help when you need it. So, we can have a really great support system, but if we don't reach out when we're having those hard days or when we need support, it's not going to do us much good. I think it's important to remember that when we reach out for help, it's helpful for the other person as well. A few years back, a friend of mine who I hadn't seen in a while because she'd moved sent a text to about 10 of us and said, my dad's having a health crisis. I'm really struggling. I wanted to reach out to you all for some support. And I thought, wow, what a smart way to get the support that she needed. And I know I replied pretty quickly and set up some time to talk. And I know that others did as well. I appreciated her relying on me when she needed to ask for what she needed and being able to be there for her, for my friend. So a related concept to social support is social connection. And this is kind of like what I was just talking about, right, with my friend, that feeling of connection. And so there are two definitions here on the screen that come from two of the leaders in the field of mental well-being. The first one comes from Berkeley's Greater Good Science Center, and specifically from their Greater Good magazine, which is an online resource that has just a wealth of knowledge and articles and exercises to practice to increase your sense of mental well-being. So if you've not been there before, you should check it out. It's a free resource. So Berkeley's Greater Good Science Center defines this as the feeling that you belong to a group and generally feel close to other people. And the Center for Healthy Minds, which is out of the University of Wisconsin, defines social connection as a feeling of care and kinship toward other people and promoting supportive relationships and supportive interactions. If you've not checked out the Center for Healthy Minds at the University of Wisconsin, they have a mindfulness app that's evidence-based and a really great resource. It's called the Healthy Minds Program. It's free, and one of their whole sections in their app is about how to increase social connection. And so they actually have given us these 4 tips. So they've looked at the research and said, what are some ways that we can increase our sense of connection? And the first 2 are kind of connected. So we can guard against forming negative first impressions of others. So practicing being non-judgmental can help us to feel more connected to other people. And when we do that, it's easier to do the second thing, which is to find things in common with others instead of differences. The third one is to express gratitude and appreciation to others. So being able to show other people that we appreciate them can actually help us to feel more connected. And then the last one we're going to practice in a minute. So practicing compassion meditation or loving kindness meditation can help us to increase our sense of connection to others. So we're going to do two practices, a social support inventory and help make a plan for ourselves. And then we're also going to practice a loving kindness meditation. So let's get started with our social support inventory. I want to encourage you to grab a piece of paper and a pen, or if you're like me and you prefer just to type, open a document on your computer. And if you need to pause right now to do that, just take a moment. You might want to pause me a couple of times through this exercise. So the first thing to do is to make a list of all the people in your life who are supportive for you, who you could call on in those flat tire moments and those emotional support moments. Just kind of everyone you can think of. Pause if you need to. And then go back through your list and ask your list. First question is my list long enough? Do I have enough supportive people on my list? If the answer is no, it's okay. We'll come back to this. If the answer is, well, probably, but I'm not sure, then a couple of more questions to ask yourself and to make some notes about. Do I put enough into these relationships, or have I let some of them kind of fall by the wayside? It's easy to do when we get busy. You are not alone, and it's something that we can plan for. You might also ask yourself, do I have enough people for the types of reasons that I might need some support? Do I have folks that I can reach out to for the different kinds of support that I need in my life? And then after you've asked yourself those questions, then I want you to think about, first, what are some steps you could take? So if you are a person who says, well, I have people, but I maybe haven't nurtured those relationships like I could, then ask yourself, what now? So not what should be, but what actually is doable, a step or two that you might like to take. So whether it's starting to text some people more regularly to check in, setting up a lunch date, figuring out some way to stay connected with those people in your life. So that would be step one. If your list is just short, if you're like, I've got strong connections with these people, but I think I need more people on my list, then I want you to take some time to brainstorm some ways to meet people and to develop some more relationships. So maybe it's, I need to call some folks who I really haven't talked to in a long time, but I really always had a good connection with. Great. Maybe it's joining a new faith or civic organization, or looking for some volunteering opportunities, or maybe a class to take that gets you engaged in a hobby that would give you an opportunity to meet people with similar interests. So kind of take some time right now, again, pause me if you need to make some goals for yourself. Like, what do you want to do next because of this inventory, right? The one thing that you don't want to do is say judgmental things about yourself, like, oh my gosh, I've been a bad friend, or I really don't feel good about this, right? Like being able to say, I don't feel good about this, and what can I do now? And kind of being compassionate with yourself. I know we've talked about that before in this program, but how can you be compassionate with yourself for being where you are right now? Okay, when you're ready, we're going to move on to this loving kindness meditation, and we're going to do just a brief meditation today. This is an exercise that often is 15 to 20 minutes long. Today's will just be a few minutes to give you an idea of what we're going to be practicing and what you can practice on your own if you decide to do more practice with it. So loving kindness meditation, or metta, as the original translation calls it, is a practice that's been around a long time. And it's been translated a lot. So if you look online and you see other people practice this differently than Karen, that's probably true. The way that we're going to practice today is how I learned from a meditation teacher named Sharon Salzberg. And Sharon has written a lot about loving kindness meditation in particular. And she has a website, her name, SharonSalzberg.com. So if you're interested in learning more, want to explore more, she's a great place to start. But there are plenty of meditation teachers out there who teach loving kindness meditation and teach more about the practice. So again, if you like this practice and you want to try more or do more, there are lots of good online resources. So I always start this as I start any kind of mindfulness practice. Find a comfortable spot for your body. You can keep your eyes open or closed, whatever's more comfortable for you. If you open them, kind of find a place for them to rest. Take a couple of breaths, just noticing that sensation of your breath in your body. And then I'm going to be repeating some phrases today. We start always by repeating phrases for yourself. So extending loving kindness first to yourself, and then we extend it outward to others in our network or circle. So the phrases that I use are, may I be safe,